Ryan Coogler has just recently, or I shouldn't even say just recently, it's been recently announced.
Yeah.
Because it happened in January. But it has just been recently made a headline that Ryan Coogler ran into some issues while visiting Bank of America in Atlanta, I believe.
Mm-hmm. The problem that I have with this whole situation is it's not so much about the institution, because it's almost expected at this point for that type of racial bias to be there. Mm-hmm. The problem that I have that is very ironic, that seems to be lost on so many of you in this whole situation, shout out to Theo B for pointing this out, is that this happened in the blackest city in America by black employees.
Yep.
This is not even a situation where we can totally get up in arms with the police and how they handled it, because they showed up to the scene looking for a bank robber. It wasn't even when I listen to the dispatcher, right? And I listen to the employee talking to the dispatcher, right? She's literally walking her through the scenario. Mm-hmm. Did he give you his ID? Yeah, he gave me his ID. Did you look the name on the ID? Does he have a weapon? Has he asked you to do or asked you for anything other than what is on the note? What was on the note? What did he ask you to do?
Withdraw money from my account.
Where in there is there a threat? You don't even know who the man is because you didn't look at his ID.
This situation for me specifically kind of hit a crazy way, just because
former bank employee.
I've seen this situation. You know, like you said, I've been a former bank employee, so you know I've dealt with certain things like this. Former black bank employee. Through working with banks, you're always told that if a robber's going to come in, they're probably going to pass you a note, because nobody does the whole, shoot them up, stick them up, all that shit anymore. So you're already on alert because of the whole note situation. You also see situations quite a bit that cause you to develop an unconscious bias about certain people. Unfortunately, sometimes those are black people. However, you have to check that as a black employee. First of all, specifically because you know that black people are not all a monolith, right? So even if you develop an unconscious bias because of a system that's been kind of put in place, you got to check that. You have to check that. Like, not all black people are thugs, criminals coming in to do some bullshit. That's my issue with this entire thing, is that it seems like common sense was lost completely in this situation.
And to that end, right? So we've established that reason and common sense is not being applied here.
Yes.
I hate to boil it down to something so trivial, but it's literally what we're experiencing. What I'm saying, do you think if Ethan walks in there and hands her a note and says, "Hey, withdraw money from my account," you think that she would think to look and see who it is that's giving her the note?
She would absolutely.
Do you think we would have ended at the police showing up trying to stop a bank robbery?
In this specific case, first of all, obviously the cops should not have been called. The man hands you a note that says, "I'm trying to withdraw money." And he gives you an ID and a debit card showing that he's a customer of the bank. What robber would give you ID,
his identification as he's
show
trying to rob you?
He's customer of the bank. So obviously you have all of his information.
So here's my thing. We've gotten into a situation where it's not even, we can't even rely on the consistency of who is profiling us now, because we've slid in so far that we're profiling each other.
Yeah.
The other day, I can't remember the account's name, but we interact a lot over Recast the Child stuff, and she was reposting the podcast where the nigga said,
literally, she says, "I got a good job. I make very, very good money," and she says, "The only thing I need now is a man." It's like, yo, like, it's like, who wants you? Who wants you? You right.
Right.
Like, once you have achieved these things, you have unfortunately disqualified yourself.
Ooh,
and
shit.
And what it is these, because and this is the thing. I'm not
Ooh,
blaming
the women are gonna hate him for that shit.
No,
Then
no, see, the
they are
thing is,
gonna hate him for that.
they should.
So that was the clip, and then she was like, "Well, black men out here doing this and that, blah, 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 skip." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? This is trash. It's garbage." And I know plenty of black men that would say so. But let's stop with the generalizing. I am not because I'm a black man with a podcast mic, I am not out here advocating for black men not to be with black women.
Correct.
I am not out here advocating for black men to be with white women. I'm not advocating for black men to be with Hispanic women. I am not out here
putting down black
women.
women.
Putting down black women, telling you what you should look for, how you should get a man, or anything like that. Okay? Like, stop segmenting us. And when I mean us, I'm talking to black men as well. Stop segmenting us into these ideals or these stereotypes that have been admittedly forced on you. Mm-hmm. Literally, like, I am still breaking ideologies and things and notions that I've built from years of conditioning.
Yeah.
Years, school, church, government. It's media. It's too much to think that you can overcome it just by liking the fact that you're black, or gravitating to certain things that are deemed to be popular as black. That's not enough. It's not enough, because everything in this country is built to make us hate ourselves. And it is so successful that now we have become the damn profilers of our own people.
Yeah. Yep.
Ryan Coogler is one of the most famous black men in all of America. He is the most famous black man in Atlanta. Gotta be. Other than Gucci Mane.
Yep.
You mean Ryan Coogler handed you 2 forms of identification with his name on it? And you called the police on him? Let me ask you a question. This shit happened in January. So all my bleeding hearts in the media, did y'all just not know about this? Y'all didn't know that this happened at all? Nobody had this story? Y'all haven't been sitting on it? Because it stinks to high hell that everybody's talking about it the same day Disney's going to talk to their shareholders. Stinks to high hell.
Especially in Atlanta. Isn't CNN's headquarters in Atlanta?
Fam. How did one of the most popular film directors in all of the country get arrested on a suspected bank robbery charge, and we don't hear about it for 2 months? Not even to mention that this man works for one of the largest media conglomerates in the world.
Yeah.
Riddle me that. How one of your lead actors, you just re-upped him to do the Wakanda series and more Black Panther stuff, right? So one of the biggest talents that you have on your roster got arrested while filming one of your films. You are one of the largest media conglomerates in all of the world. So you felt so much for Ryan in his situation that you set mum on all of your various networks that you have at your whim. Just so that it can come out conveniently while you're sitting in front of your shareholders.
That is nuts. I didn't even think about that. But you're right.
So why you sitting up here talking about people need to get their priorities in order, Roland Martin? How about you get your priorities together and find out why the hell Disney is not up in arms running this story over all of their networks because one of their star talents was done. Now, do we think if Scarlett Johansson got arrested off of suspected robbery charges, we'd be hearing about it 2 months later?
No, we'd hear about it immediately.
On what channel? On ABC. The night that it happened.
Yep.
If that is not the clearest example of why more positive representation of Black people, specifically Black men, is needed. And it is so ironic that it is happening to a man. And again, let's say this right now because I can see the trolls chomping at the bit to get all over this video and say that I'm making fun of Ryan Coogler because of Recast T'Challa. The two things are not at all connected at all. Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
There is irony in the fact that the decision that Ryan and Nate Moore are making is doing nothing for positive black male representation. And in that same respect, a lack of positive representation of black men in this country contributed to what happened to Ryan Coogler. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Because he was a black guy with glasses and a mask on and a hoodie, that absolutely 1,000% contributed to what happened to Ryan Coogler. That is called irony. That is not laughing at Ryan Coogler because of what happened to him, because he very well could have not made it home because of that.
Yep.
But then we would have had to deal with the fact that it was a black woman that called the police on him in the first place and made sure that he didn't make it home.
And a black manager who confirmed her feelings and her suspicions, which is even more wild to me.
We got to stop with this generalizing shit. Stop doing that. When you say that shit, stop yourself.
We had a rule that customers couldn't wear, hats, sunglasses, things like that. Obviously, with the pandemic, masks are a little different, but
right.
We had to tell people, like, take your hats off, take your sunglasses off, and I started noticing that I'm saying that more and more to black people than I am to white people, and I myself had to check that, like, yeah, this is happening a lot with black people. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like, if you're wearing a hat,
dress clothes at a bar or a club.
Yeah, like if you're wearing a hat, you're wearing sunglasses, and it's not, too much. Like if it was like all, then that's a little different. But
and just
I had
until
to check myself.
you go and you own yourself a club or a bar, and you end up putting a goddamn sticker in the store that says no baggy pants, no long t-shirts, no jerseys, black.
Yeah, no, and that's what I meant by at some point you gotta check yourself and say,
for sure,
this is not right.
No.
Any other thoughts?
That's it, man. Give us your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Very heavy topic. A lot got out there, so
Yep.
Let us know what you thought.
And make sure you check out our playlist for Recast T'Challa. I know this isn't specifically a Recast T'Challa thing, but we're putting forth our efforts behind that movement. And make sure you subscribe. Like I said, we like to talk about things like Black injustice, but as well as obviously things that relate to Marvel, Black Panther, and things of that nature.